Привет всем! In this video we're going to paint the camouflage colours on our Abrams TUSK I Abrams. Hello guys, if you're new to the video series, we are continuing the painting process. Just to explain very briefly, what you're seeing at the moment is just Mr. Surfacer grey, and also I've just done a little bit of outlining with mahogany brown and a touch of black. Now, not confuse this isn't really any pre-shading, it's just to break up these little elements, and I'll just explain a little bit about what we're going to do. We've got a single colour vehicle, which actually is a little bit more difficult to paint than camouflage vehicles because we need to express some interest in there. Of course you can paint it all over one colour, go with your weathering in there, but in this example we're going to push weathering, we're going to push contrast. And for that reason as well, I've outlined the panels, and this is what we're going to do. We're going to use an approach which is basically going to use a base color, and then we're going to apply a light and then a higher light. And the idea is on each of these dividing lines, we're going to have a contrast between the base and the higher lightened color to create this contrast effect. Not realistic by all means, but for visual interest, it will work. Let's just quickly talk about paints now. Okay, so the color that we're representing is something called chemical agent resisting coating, TAN 686A, FS 33446. Bunch of numbers means nothing. Basically, it's a sandy color or a tan color or something in between. Check your references, see how you want to go. Basically, the closest one I've found out of the bottle is this light sand color by Tamiya. That is going to be our base. We're going to use that as our base. If we want to darken it at all, I think I'm going to add a little bit of this yellow-brown DAC 1941. Basically, you can see there. And what we're really going to be pushing from that base color towards lighter. To go lighter, we can use wooden deck tan, but principally, we're going to use white, which we're going to add progressively the mixture. The plan is base coat all over with the light sand, add white, and then add white again for the higher contrast. There is a problem though. The only way to lighten sand color is adding white. If we go too white, guess what? It just looks white. It will look wrong. Remember, we need a sandy color. Now, there is a method to correct that. If I need to use it, I'll explain it in the next stage. Let's crack on with the painting right now. Okay, after that montage, let's have a wrap up. Can't believe it, this week a reasonably short video anyways, but this was specifically about painting using the airbrush and creating these highlight effects, and obviously painting this camouflage color, this cork tan, in a way that I want to depict it. Of course, I'm not saying this is the correct way. One single color of cork tan and weathering is another way of doing this, but as I said, in this example, we're going to try and push a bit of contrasting type techniques in here. Important point from the clip, as I mentioned before, as we push the highlights towards and high, the higher color, they did look white. I think you might have picked that up from the video. And the correction is interesting. You make a blend between the clear yellow and the clear orange, highly dilute it, and sprayed overall, it does two things. First of all, it brings the white back to a sort of to its sort of original tone, to a more tan color or a sand color, and also it actually darkened up some of the other areas. A little bit orangey in some areas, need some correction. We'll be able to do that with oil paints, which is what we'll be doing in the next sort of video. But overall, I quite like the appearance at the moment. Spent quite a lot of time also adding on all these highlights. Now, if you did watch that color modulation video, I made some critique about that technique, yeah? First of all, let's just discuss the overall paint scheme. Let's get away from all these terms like color modulation, yeah? Modulation means something varies and changes. Obviously, the paint color is not going to vary, okay? This is just simply, let's put it into plain language. It's a color with lightened highlights. That's all it ever is going to be, yeah? There's no need for any confusing terms, yeah? And then the application of that yellow-orange clear mix. Now, they would call that a filter. Let's just call it highly diluted paint. I'm going to try and come across with terms that are just in plain English going forward to avoid any confusion. The other thing that we've done as well is added on all these, the detail paintings done, like the edges of some of the armor, like the machine guns. And then also, as I said, we did this highlighting type technique on some of the details to make them pop out a bit more. And that was just using acrylic paints. Now, in the next video, we'll discuss all about how all this needs to be blended together. But overall, looking kind of interesting. I quite like it. A lot of weathering to do. And also as well, we've got more of the assembly done. Got the tracks on as well at this stage. Better just explain this as well. Okay, we've got the markings on, the decals on that represent that unit in Iraq. Now, what I've added on is strips of what came from a Dragon Abrams kit, and it represents the outside sort of Velcro fabric that holds the CIP panels on. So I've done that with self-adhesive paper. A little bit concerned that might fall off, so I might just apply with a brush some varnish on there. But anyways, shortish sort of video, kept it just to the salient point. Was it base painting or did we start the weathering? I think we started the weathering, and I'll explain why in the next video. Anyways, this is The Bear. Hope you enjoyed it, and see you in the next one.